Welcome to our audiences, both new and the ones who keep visiting back, to the ones also who keep writing to us sweet mails about the various webinars and knowledge sessions which we have taken and how they are adding to their zest for legal education, about BITS law. And we are very thankful to all those people who keep on encouraging, because of which we keep doing such sessions. And me and my team are very thankful to you because these ideas which we keep coming up with, the questions that we give you answers to, are all coming because of the great encouragement in form of mails, phone calls that we receive. And then last year, if I remember, this was one of our most outstanding sessions where our dean had an interaction with our parents, students, various other stakeholders. And it was one of the most, encouraging sessions for us because the dean was there, he interacted, and the most famous one was him giving a campus tour to the students through the laptop, which was so much commended by so many students and parents, even those who took admission later on were speaking about it. It speaks about our transparency, our approach to the students, and what a young and lively law school we are. So this session had to be special this year. We were very clear in our mind, we at our team at BITS Law, we were very clear that this session has to be presented in such a manner where we are able to address to many of new questions which are coming our way, because last year we were a fairly newer law school, but also other questions about many other things that students were asking us, and we wanted him to, give the answers to the same. So the session was born out of those encouragements. Second thing which was very important was we were very clear in our mind that in these 6 months, a semester, there were many new developments which have happened. Our students have been so good that they have went into the industry, they have created such a remarkable presence in the industry that people have started coming to us without any kind of reservations or anything, and they have approached us just because of our students. And they were all under the tutelage of our faculties and and our dean, because of which parents want to know now more about how the teaching happens, what is the pedagogy, what are the new things which we are doing. And that's exactly where we were very clear that the session has to be special and at length also. So we have Dr. Ashish Bharadwaj with us, our dean, who is one of the most famous figures, if you ask me, in the campus, outside the campus, because of his great approachable nature. The moment I discussed with him that we want to do this session, he was all game for it. Though I know that he's so busy, he's still neck deep always in 360-degree work which happens in the law school. But then again, he consented and he said, this is one of those sessions which even I enjoyed last year and I have to go ahead and do it. So welcome, Ashish,
Thank
and
you.
we are so grateful to you that you took out time.
Thanks very
So
much.
without much ado, I'd directly move into the session because there are a lot of sessions which a lot of questions which I'm carrying, and that is all because of the students who have written this mail. But I'll start with the first thing, which is something which we and many others want to know, which is your experience as a dean of BITS Law School for the past one semester. Because last year there were no students, but this year the students were there, and I have seen you that how attached you are to the students, how approachable you are. Students just walk in. You celebrated festivals with them. You made sure that they don't feel alone. That's something which took me back to my law school days, and I thought I needed a dean like this. So yeah, that's the experience which I want you
Well,
to share.
thanks, Deepu. I'm also looking forward to this interaction with all the prospective students. The context of this is Deepu asking a lot of relevant questions, me responding, but it's really also about you asking us any question, any concern, any doubt that has been on your mind about BITS Law School, our approach, and we'll be very happy to answer those in this session. So, Deepu, my experience of the last one semester, I'll stretch that because I think the last 1 year has been remarkable for us. We call it year zero when we did a lot of the initial foundational work and the initial preparatory work, which led to the start of the first academic year. And then a lot of things happened in our first semester. So let me walk you through that. Uh, First of all, I think I'm not from Bombay. I'm originally from Delhi, and it has been an incredible experience for me and my family to experience Bombay in all its glitz and glamour. I think it's a city where people want to be, particularly the young people. young professionals, students, and the reasons are fairly obvious. It's open, it's liberal, it's lively. It's of course the financial, banking, cultural, creative hub. So that really started the some kind of assurance that we are building a law school in the right place, very close to where really the key stakeholders are. Um, then I think it was an extremely lively phase interacting with prospective students. Again, in the run up to July and August, you were very active with all your team members. The second memory that I'll have of the first half of last year is the sense of pride that we were able to communicate to all applicants and all parents of those applicants, not just about what we were trying to do, about the legacy of BITS Pilani, our own vision for BITS Law School. And I was able to see that commitment and that confidence when I was hearing some of my colleagues, people who are part of your team, interact with applicants. So that's something which I think was common across everyone who was part of BITS Law School in year zero. Then you said you asked about first semester. It really started with a bang. It started with the Chancellor of BITS Pilani, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, hosting the 120 students for dinner.
Yep.
That was, we call it the Chancellor's Dinner. If you join us, you will also get to be part of that exciting dinner and interact with him one-on-one. So that was the kickoff to the first semester of the first academic year, and it was non-stop academic immersion. I'll give some examples that come to my mind. We started on the 1st of August. In the very first week, we hosted the BITS Pilani alumni event involving some of our law students. Because after all, a lot of them came because they trust and they believe in the prestige of BITS Pilani. Then in week 3, I remember we hosted a senior partner from Kheta to speak to our students. In the second month, in September, I remember we hosted Houston, a senior scholar from University College Dublin, to talk about music and copyright. We hosted another very senior lawyer to talk about the feminist legal theories and the entire project. We hosted a large number of scholars who were interacting with students. They were on their toes. They wanted to learn from them. They wanted to correlate what was happening in the classroom with what these practitioners were saying. I also remember we hosted a conference with a New York-based law firm, Selendi Gay Ellsberg. It's a premier litigation firm in New York. And again, students were part of that initiative. The entire process of internship planning and preparation, all students are currently undergoing internship. So it was a remarkable, even in one of the, I remember we have a course which has few modules from history. And there was an excursion planned where the history faculty, Professor Runmai, she took a group of students to the 2,000-year-old Kaneri caves. And it was a real immersive experience for students, law students studying history in their first semester. So it was a hell of a first semester. We couldn't have asked for more.
And I remember I just had a chat with one of our students, and I was just talking to her because we were going to that city. And I told her that we are going to be in your city. How are you doing? So she gave me a total download of what she learned in the internship. And then she says, you know what, sir, not just me, my entire batch now wants to, as soon as possible, come back because we are missing our law school. And that's something which, if a student is saying who has been away from home and at a campus and has been living, and she's not from Maharashtra, she's from some other state, but then that one word from her at the end of it made me or gave me an assurance, the kind of, the kind of aura that we are creating in this campus. So the next question is about, we have to talk about BITS Law School. So the question is, how is BITS Law School different from other law schools in India, and what makes it special?
Yeah, so for BITS Law School, I'm not going to get into the details of the vision and mission, but at the core of what we do are learners. I'm not saying students deliberately, there's a reason for it. Because we place primacy on the process of learning,
Yep.
which means that to our uh, for us, how the learning is planned by Bits Law School and executed and delivered by the faculty members is really the most important thing. Everything else comes later. If the learning process and learning per se is at the core of everything we do, then the learners that we bring into the school
Mm.
are very important, which is why we do an admission process which is as intensive, rigorous. It's also slightly longish because we need to assess on multiple different parameters. And I'm sure some of you are looking forward to offers based on that. It'll all happen eventually. But so given this background, I think what makes us special are 4, 5 things which I would like to list out. First one is our curriculum. The academic approach an institution takes is really the essence of it comes in the form of coursework and curriculum, and how the pedagogical style
Yes.
is shaped and adopted by the faculty. We are extremely lucky to have a very outstanding and committed set of scholars as faculty here who've put together uh, very interesting and engaging courses, and they are really contemporary in nature. And I'll give some examples as we move on in the conversation. That's really the first one, what we teach. The second is the some of the innovations we have brought out in our the entire Bits Law learning model. One of these initiatives is called Learning Beyond Classroom,
Okay. Okay.
LBC.
Yeah.
And we are going to be starting a set of workshops from February as part of this LBC series. The idea is that there is what is required from any learner, any student at this stage, irrespective of the discipline they are doing, is an immersion into different variations of fine arts. And I'm not talking about painting only,
Yeah.
or theater, or drawing, dance, music, creative writing. There's a lot. There's a lot which translates into non-verbal communication as human beings. It doesn't matter whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a banker, whether you're a journalist, but you need to understand and appreciate certain nuances of the society we live in. And we want to bring that out in the form of these learning beyond uh, the curriculum workshops. That's the second one. The third one is our entire approach to practice, because it's a law school, it's a professional degree. We want students to study law in all its forms and manifestations in a context. That context needn't only be the legalese or the litigation or legal work, but the context has to be defined, and students need to understand it.
True.
So such practice-based or practitioner-centric approach comes out at Bits Law School in the form of frequent dialogue with those who are working in the discipline and with the disciplines. It also comes out in the form of students learning how to really understand the real world tools and techniques and the skills they need over and above the curricular needs to do well in the real world. Then I think the next one again is one of the pedagogical and academic innovations we brought out. We call them learning at the workplace workshop. It's called RAW, learning at the workplace, which is we were inspired by an initiative of our management school, which is BITSOM. They have something similar for MBA students. And readiness at workplaces, as I said, about some of the things that I think a lot of people don't pay too much attention to when they are reading a job description. Attributes and competencies like group work, being able to work with tight deadlines. We read about these requirements all the time, but no one really teaches these things in a formal way. How do you manage time with multiple demands on your time? How do you work in multicultural teams? how do you have a strong working knowledge of certain tech tools that you
Mm,
need at the
mm,
workplace.
mm, mm.
All of these are covered in the
Wow.
RAW
Wow.
workshops.
Okay.
Uh, then we have an entirely different approach to internships, which I can elaborate later. But
Mhm,
two of the initiatives that come to mind, which I think makes our industry interface and career advancement office
mm,
and their work very exciting, is they have a councils in action
mm,
series
mhm,
where, as the name suggests,
mhm,
councils, legal councils come, they
mm,
speak to students.
mhm.
There is also an entrepreneurs in action
Okay.
series because
Okay.
BITS Pilani has this penchant for producing extremely talented
Yes.
entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yes.
And we are going to be hosting a lot of them
Wow.
because these students are driven by the
Wow.
idea of entrepreneurship.
Mhm, mhm,
And finally, and I'll kind of stop there, we have a very unique tutorial system, which has been alive in India for quite some time. It is very, very effective. It's a proven tool to ensure that the entire loop of learning
mm,
that begins with reading and then listening, participating in a classroom,
mm,
to close that loop of learning, you need to be able to use that new knowledge
mm.
with your peers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tutorials are built on intensive writing that
Oh,
students do.
okay. Okay.
That writing is under the supervision of full-time tutors.
Yeah.
We call them fellows,
Mhm.
hired in BITS Law School under the supervision of faculty. And it's a great way for peer-to-peer learning. So these are some of the examples that I could give. But
Mm,
if you put all this together,
mm.
the sum that comes out is really much bigger than the parts if you add it up. And that's what makes BITS Law School great.
No doubt about it. Why? In our admission process also, there is so much of feedback which we keep receiving from our own faculties that which of the skill has to be given more weightage. They are so instrumental in even making sure that the new student who comes, so we select only, 180 students. So on the basis of it, the one student also who's making his way should be as such a student who's able to come and, get all these things. I often say this, and I'm very serious about it when I say this also, that it's a 5-year program, but any student who plans to get into it should be very, very clear in his mind that it is very intensive also.
Hmm.
You have to be very clear in your mind that there is no exit option. In this 5 years, the rigorousness of it is as such that you have to immerse yourself so much that there are not just classroom teaching which is happening, the other things also which are happening.
Absolutely.
And no doubt about it. Why? Because the way, Ashish, the way he explained, in the very first year, we are so lucky that one of our student has got the award of best intern,
Yeah, yeah.
during her internship. And this is just the first semester, believe me. And she has got the award of best intern during the first internship
From Maharashtra Human
from
Rights
Maharashtra
Commission.
Human Rights
Yeah.
Commission. So that speaks so much, because that's the amount of concentration on per student which has been given. Great. So let's move on to the next question. And that is, please
And
give
she did all of this all by herself
all by
because
herself.
neither child protection nor
Yeah.
human rights are part of semester one
Yes,
coursework.
yes.
We're very
But then
proud
I
of her.
think the tutorials and
Yeah.
all other kind of, help from the faculties whom she has mentioned in her testimonial, Dr.
Mm.
Rahela
Yes.
and the others, she has mentioned them so much, and it was
And
so
Afri.
touching
Yeah.
for us,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Afreen also. So that's exactly, what matters, because often students ask me that what is the most important thing while choosing a law school. I say it's faculties, because throughout these 5 years,
Yeah.
it is basically these faculties who shape you. Okay, so the next question is, please give us an account of academic achievements by the students of BITS Law. And
Oh
this is
gosh.
something which is very close to you, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will academic achievements. I'll broaden that a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah,
I'll
please.
focus on achievements,
Yes.
right? Because in a 5-year program,
Mhm.
focusing only on academic achievements will
It
kind
doesn't
of
make sense. Yeah.
curtail the
Mhm,
scope that
mhm.
we could
Yes, yes.
cover. So, uh, see, it's a fully residential program, um, and it's in the city of Bombay. Um I think the trust that the students were able to build with the faculty and with our fellows is a big strength, and
Mm,
it's I would consider it as an achievement.
mm,
It's a very competitive environment that these students are
mm,
working in,
mm.
studying in,
Absolutely.
competing in,
Yeah.
um, and being away from home, and being thrown into the difficult waters of law school education.
Mhm.
It's been tough. It'll be tough for anyone
Anyone.
who's coming away from home. So I think, and because it was the founding batch, we promised them, each faculty promised them that they are going to be their close confidants, they are going to be their mentors,
Mm.
and they will double up as seniors.
Yeah.
And they fulfilled the promise.
Mm.
So
Mm.
all of them were very generous with the time they gave to each student, and that kind of helped build the trust. And it's not easy because when you approach a faculty with or without an appointment, saying that, I feel a bit lost in this topic,
Mm. Mm.
or I just didn't understand, and, I did phenomenally well in school, and here I'm not able to grasp, you are making yourself vulnerable.
Yep.
And as a law student, it's not easy to do that.
Not at all.
So making yourself vulnerable to someone who's also new to you,
Yeah.
right? This entire process panned out beautifully.
Mm.
And this trust is important because this initial bond that is forged between students and faculty,
Mm.
particularly in a law school, a
Mm.
residential
Mm.
setup,
Mm.
helps them kind of tide over all possible academic,
Absolutely.
non-academic challenges that they're going to face.
Mm. Mm.
They may face in the next 4.5 years. So that's the first one. Um, I strongly think that our coursework is rigorous.
Mm.
It's not easy.
Not
And
at all.
you explain it sufficiently well in all your sessions with applicants.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's not easy. I mean, law school is not supposed to be easy.
Not
When
supposed
you
to be.
grapple with issues of law and morality and intersectionality, sexuality, religion, you're looking at applying the knowledge of one course in the same semester to another course in the same semester. That's not easy.
Not at
There's a
all.
lot to read, a lot to process, a
Yeah.
lot to reflect
Yeah.
on. It makes you challenge your own notions that you have kind of raised
Mhm.
with.
Mhm.
And despite all these problems of being in a new city, new context, new people, new environment, being able to appreciate the learning outcomes of these courses, despite the rigor,
Mm.
I consider that as a big achievement.
Yeah.
Then individual cases, you've already alluded to
Mhm.
Devangshi, who
Mhm.
got the Best Intern Award.
Mhm.
But there are others. Let me tell you one. This professor who visited us from Dublin,
Mhm.
he gave a fantastic lecture, and one of the students got quite curious about the topic. And since September, she's
Mhm.
been working on a project under his supervision. That's an achievement.
Yep. Yep.
It's a
Any day.
first semester student
Mm.
who's willing and is competent to undertake research all by herself on a topic she hasn't formally studied yet.
Wow.
So that's curiosity, and that will take her places. Then there's a delegation of 12 students
Mhm.
who are going to be participating in a debate competition next month. They'll
Mhm.
represent BITS Law School.
Wow.
They'll soon start preparing.
Mhm.
The fact that they are now ready to go out on their own to
Mhm.
compete at
Great.
a university level is an achievement because we
Absolutely.
opened the call for expressions, we
Mm.
got several, and unfortunately there were only limited spots.
Mm.
But that's really a big achievement. I know there are two students who are interning in the same building, few
Mhm.
floors up
Mhm.
in this company
Kellogg's.
called Kellogg's. And because they are in the same building, they come down, say hi frequently. And what's interesting is, again, they're working on issues around data protection and trademark. It's a
Again.
company that produces a lot of
Mm.
consumer products.
Mm.
So trademarks is important to them,
Mhm.
and they've been asked to study that.
Mm.
Again, remarkable because a course on IP is going to come perhaps in the third year.
And I've seen them coming and interacting with our faculty, learning, taking notes, and then again going back, which is like, wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
In the
It's
very first
remarkable.
semester, this is something, what can you ask more?
Exactly. And this ties very well to, now I bring the vision statement in the picture. It says that BITS Law School wishes to be an inspirational benchmark for new age multidisciplinary legal education and research in India through creativity and empathy. Now, the most important words for me, uh, basis the answer I just gave, are inspirational benchmark. It is not to show to other higher education institutions or law schools that we
Mhm.
want to be your inspiration.
Mhm.
No, we want to learn from others and we want to
Yeah.
do it in a collaborative way. But we want to inspire students. We want to inspire law aspirants.
Absolutely.
And it's a serious responsibility because law school is the only place where students are taught and they're expected to stand for what they think is right.
Yes.
And in these times when there's an influx of information, we have to help them find the right kind of truth, the
Yeah.
truth.
That I remember one of those things which you had said. I remember we were having a discussion, and someone just said that a student is a customer. To which I remember Ashi said, "No, no, no. Student is not the customer. Student is a product. You shape them for 5 years. You get them ready for the nation. Your customers are the ones who come for placements." Because they are the ones, if they like your product, they'll keep on coming. And that's how you're contributing to the nation. So that was something which I still remember. And I keep telling my team also that that's exactly how we have to be. So
Yeah,
anyone who
yeah.
comes here, we tell them that we treat our students as the ones we are going to create as responsible citizens who are powered with law. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Now, this is one question which a lot of people have been asking us, and often my answer is it's a no-brainer. It has to be there. The question relates to the international collaborations because we have managed to leave global footprints also, and some exceptional collaborations are on their way, and some of them we have already done. I would like you to throw some
Sure,
light
sure,
on it.
sure.
Yeah.
So this is an important one for those who are listening to this conversation, and if you aspire to uh, join a law school or an institution based on your aspiration of studying abroad, that's absolutely fine. But I think you need to add more justifications to that list. Uh, I don't think law school, given the time commitment and rigor and the seriousness of the entire discipline and profession, should not be considered as a launch pad for all kind of international aspirations.
Hmm.
Having said that, we are working with a lot of partner institutions. We call them partner institutions, universities, law schools, but we have a distinctly different approach, Deepu.
Mhm.
It's I think the risk that a lot of young students face
Mhm.
in a law school or even outside law school is to end up looking at treating, embracing internationalization as an academic accessory,
Mhm. Mhm.
which it shouldn't be.
Mhm.
So, our approach to internationalization is built on a long term plan to engage with partners academically
Mhm.
through students and faculty,
Mhm.
built based on a simple concept that when we join hands, when
Mhm.
we collaborate,
Mhm.
then both new ideas and new activities,
Mhm.
uh, the outcome of it will simply be better
Yeah.
than just doing it all by yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it needs to have a strong academic, intellectual justification
Mhm.
to start.
Mhm.
So since we are in our first academic year, all the conversations and dialogues that we are having with our partners
Mhm.
are very academic in nature.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
give you some
Mhm.
examples. Um, I told you that in the second month of the first semester,
Mhm.
September,
Mhm.
we organized a conference with this law firm, and there were certain institutions present there. We are going to be hosting a conference
Mhm.
on a very topical issue of deep fakes,
Deep fakes.
artificial intelligence, and its impact on trust and democracy, jointly with University of South California.
Wow.
They have a law school called Gould School of Law,
Mhm.
and also Sussex Law School in the
Mhm.
UK.
Mhm.
So the three partners and us, we are going to be working together on this topic and on this conference.
Mhm.
The second is we are working very closely with a law school in the US called Pace
Mhm.
Law School, Elizabeth Shue School of Law and Pace University,
Mhm.
in curating a program dedicated to environmental law. They are rank one law school in the US in environmental law.
Okay.
And that's going to take time because
Mhm.
it's slightly different from the four areas of specializations that we have.
Yeah.
Then we are working closely on the sports law and ethics
Wow.
subject area with some of our colleagues in Queensland University of Technology, which is in Australia.
Okay.
We are working with, through our faculty, with issues around digital trade and
Mhm.
free trade agreements between India and Australia. And those negotiations are ongoing
Mhm.
with Victoria University. It's in Melbourne.
Mhm.
Um, we are also looking at bringing about some kind of innovations at the intersection of social entrepreneurship
Hmm.
and legal aid.
Okay.
And for this project, it's at an early stage. We are in
Hmm.
touch with Hertie School, which is in Berlin, and with Stanford
Hmm.
Civil Society Center.
Hmm.
So there's a lot ongoing. I talked about University College Dublin,
Hmm.
the professor who came and spoke with students.
Hmm.
He is going to be teaching our students European Union law
Wow. Okay.
because he also enjoyed
Ah,
interacting with
ah,
BITS law
ah.
students. So this is how we are initiating our partnerships.
Mhm.
Let them come and intellectually and academically engage with our faculty, with our students. Once that's done, then formulating different student mobility opportunities is relatively easier.
People do often ask me this question also, that why do you, why are you seeing so many parameters in admissions?
Mhm.
Why extracurriculars? Why do you want to meet students, get a score, and judge them by the same? But believe me, there are various things in our mind when we created that system, but the best answer to all those questions I get is when someone comes for a guest lecture, interacts with our students,
Mhm.
and post that they come and ask us, are they from first year? Are they really from the first year? And that's something which really shakes us up, and we are like, yes, they are from the first year and they are in the very first semester itself.
Mhm.
And that really gives us a punch that, yeah, the selection system probably that we
Yeah,
did, we have such kind of students who though are in the first year, but then again, they
yeah,
are exhibiting the kind of impact on people who are like partners of law firms,
yeah.
uh, faculties from great institutions. They themselves are commending it.
Can I add something
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that?
please, please.
So, because I think a lot of our applicants, those who have already completed, submitted, they must be wondering about this multi-stage process of
Mm-hmm.
admission that we have. So I want to talk about two things. One, when you do some of those pieces of the admissions process, particularly the one around comprehension, the one around one-word essay, which is getting very popular, I hear, uh, is not to really find who to eliminate in the competitive process. It's a way for us to see whether BITS Law School and the approach which we were talking about, which I articulated a few minutes ago, is really uh, uh, compatible with what you as a student, as an applicant, are looking for. It's not for us to find reasons to reject applicants. It's for us to find those applicants who are going to thrive in the approach and the learning model that we have. Because we would not want students who are not entirely sure if they really want to take up this massive challenge, which is going to consume 5 years and a lot of intellectual energy. That's one. Second is, why do we do some of these things? Is to really gauge what kind of critical thinking skills that you might have. And even if it's at a slightly preliminary level, we wish to see whether you are willing to immerse yourself in the curriculum and develop these attributes, which includes critical thinking, curiosity, being open to different disciplines, to different approaches, and to learning in a collaborative manner. You might not be able to figure all of this out when you're on the other side of the interview table, when you're an applicant, but this is what we are looking for in certain parts of that interview process.
Great. So there is one question which many students have asked about, what are we doing for diversity, which has been something very
About
close to
that,
diversity,
hmm,
which has been something which is very close to our heart, and we have made very clear that we are able to get so many students from across India. So the next question is about the same. I also want to tell all parents one more thing, and students attending. We'll be taking your questions. We are marking your questions. Q&A, we have put it for the last. Well, these are some questions which were mailed to us. We are taking those questions first, and then at the end, you can, mail your questions to our chat, and those questions will appear to me, and I'll ask the dean those questions. Okay. So just hang in there, keep sending your questions. My team at the back end is taking those questions and they'll send it to us. Okay. So the question is about diversity, that diversity has played an important part in shaping BITS law.
yeah.
In the very first year as a standout institution of legal studies, how is diversity playing a role inside the classroom?
It's a great question. How is it playing out? Well, it's we had planned for this. There is a reason why we have a separate category of scholarships,
Mhm.
which I'm sure you've talked
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
about
yeah.
with the students, with the
Mhm.
applicants. That category of scholarships is called diversity scholarships, and it has subcategories
Yes,
in it.
yes.
So we wish to bring in students who are from regions that are geographical areas that are underrepresented,
Mhm.
not only in law schools, but
Mm,
also in higher education
mm,
institutions
mm,
in general
mm,
in the country. We have these scholarships for those who have different kinds of gender identity. We have um, we have diversity scholarships for those who might have special needs. So when we decided to have this in place, there was a very clear purpose for it, that we need a very heterogeneous student body.
student.
We do not want homogenization of views and
Mm, mm,
opinions,
mm.
and we don't want the discussions in the classrooms to kind of navigate in one
Mm,
or two directions.
mm,
We
mm.
want it to be a lively, versatile play of colors and
Yeah.
views, both in the tutorial sessions, study sessions, and during lectures. Now, but it has a deeper meaning. I'm thinking about it. Diversity, I read somewhere, is by itself incomplete.
Mm.
It's a necessary condition, not a sufficient condition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I read somewhere that diversity is getting invited to a party.
Hmm.
Inclusion is being asked to dance.
Wow.
So it kind of goes one step
Yes,
further.
yes, yes.
And that's what we try to do. It's one thing to have a very diverse set of students in one classroom.
Mhm.
And when I say diverse, I mean where they're coming from, socioeconomic
Yes, yes,
backgrounds,
yes.
and many other levels of diverse and multiplicity of views that they bring with them.
Mhm.
Um, but there's another thing of how do you really make them
Mm,
share
mm,
and demonstrate the kind of cultural learnings, traditional learnings,
mm,
customs,
mm,
their own ways of thinking, which they
mm,
have imbibed over the
mm,
last 16, 17 years.
mm.
How do they bring it out in conversations and in their work,
Yeah.
in their casual conversations also
Mhm,
with their
mhm,
peers?
mm.
And that's where the entire mentor-mentee setup that we have in the law school comes in very
Very
handy.
good.
Um, I remember that a lot of students in the first few weeks of the semester, they came with a whole range of ideas of the kind of clubs and societies they want to work uh, for, and they want to start on their own. And I realized that a lot of them, when they were coming up with these proposals,
Mm,
they had a collaborative approach in mind. They
mm,
wanted to bring together people who were not thinking like them,
mm,
who
mm,
had different views to share. It could
mm,
be a social service society, it
mm,
could be a debate society.
mm,
And they wanted to make sure that the final group that comes together for that forum
mm,
is diverse.
mm,
So
mm,
we are taking it very seriously. And just to add for applicants, even the endowment scholarship, we were
mm.
talking about that earlier. One of them, the special Sarla Birla Scholarship for Legal Studies, is exclusively for women
Women
candidates.
candidates. Yeah.
So we are very, very clear about why we want to do this. We are already seeing the benefits of students learning from each other.
It's
And it's just a more memorable, playful, and more engaging experience for the faculty.
faculty. Correct. And believe me, our country is such diverse that
Mm.
unless and until you are not understanding, others, I don't think you're understanding this country. And there is so much of hue and cry in this country right now about language, that how you have to know the local language, etc., etc. I have a very different perspective, which I share with the students also, and they also agree to it, that you should know the languages of the entire country wherever you wish to reside. And that's how people have been, and you go to anywhere. Now, if you try to impose it, and that's how a law student would look at it. And that's something which you understand when you live, when you get up in the morning and meet someone from, say, the south part of India or the north part of India. You sit together, you understand, and that's something which is the beauty about learning law, because law is a social science at the end
Yeah.
of the day. That's how it goes. Now, there is a lot of questions which we also get about the faculties which we have here.
Mm.
And there is a adage which goes like it takes to be a BITS law faculty,
Mm.
because I have seen that how difficult it is to become a faculty here, because I get a lot of resumes, I send it to the HR, and then they ask me that what is happening. I don't have a say in that. It is a rigorous process through which they are selected. And that's something which the next question is about, where I have been asked that the standards expected from a faculty at BITS Pilani are the same what we follow at BITS Law School. And you know just an insight that people want to know, that what does it take in becoming a faculty at BITS Law School.
Well, in one sentence, you just there has to be a bit of commitment and passion driving your pursuit to teach well and to engage with students. I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
has their own areas of excellence and interest. Um, how I outline the approach that we take in selecting students, uh, the takeaway is that we get very good and promising students,
Hmm, hmm,
right? Now, when we and the class of 120 students that we brought in last year is testament to that. Now, when you have outstanding students, then they deserve to be taught by outstanding instructors, teachers.
hmm,
They deserve to be mentored by outstanding faculty members,
hmm,
right? So that's really why we go for people who are committed, passionate, who've done this before, and they want to do it even better.
hmm,
That brings me to another point. We offer a lot of intellectual room and scope for imagination
hmm, hmm.
in curating courses,
Okay.
because and that's a luxury we have as a new law
Hmm,
school.
hmm, hmm,
We don't have any issues of curricular legacy,
hmm, hmm,
something
hmm,
that has
hmm,
been
hmm,
going
hmm,
on for a
hmm,
while, which
hmm,
has to be
hmm.
kind of taken forward. We have the luxury of starting from scratch in
Scratch.
everything that we do.
Yes, yes.
So I think academicians and scholars like that challenge,
Hmm,
right? That this may not be panning out in the same way in other professions,
hmm, hmm,
but they like the challenge of being able to bring some insights of the new knowledge that they have generated through their own scholarship, through
hmm,
their own publications, through
hmm,
their own writings,
hmm,
through
hmm,
their own master's, MPhil, doctoral,
hmm,
postdoctoral
hmm, hmm.
work. They want to be able to bring that to the classroom.
Yeah.
And I think this is what sets a faculty apart from a lot of other working professionals
Hmm, hmm,
in different industries.
hmm, hmm,
An example that comes to my mind is when writers and poets and other people in arts, when they are working, they don't have the final outcome in mind.
okay.
When a script writer or a playwright or a poet is writing, they don't have an actor or a director in mind.
Right.
They're just writing for
Hmm,
the sake of
hmm,
it.
hmm, hmm,
The same for a biochemist,
hmm,
right? When a biochemist is working in her lab, she does not necessarily have an industry application in mind.
hmm,
That could be a positive welcome accident.
hmm, hmm,
For a knowledge maker
hmm,
at an higher education level, it's the twin challenge. One, to be able to create new knowledge
hmm,
without really thinking about where the application is going to be. And but at a pedagogical level,
hmm,
especially at an undergrad master's level,
hmm, hmm,
you also have to think of whether it's going to be useful and meaningful intellectually
hmm,
at the level that we are teaching at,
hmm, hmm,
the discipline that we are teaching at,
hmm,
the
hmm,
kind of school we are teaching in,
hmm,
and how do we formulate assessments and entire feedback system,
hmm, hmm,
the mentorship system
hmm, hmm,
around that.
hmm,
So it's a big task,
hmm, hmm,
and I would advise all students to take a look at the work that the faculty members at BITS Law School have done. It's a remarkable diversity of disciplinary issues and societal issues, legal issues that they deal with through their own writings and research. And as Deepu said, it's a very good way, a very tried, tested, credible way to gauge the quality of the institution.
100%. And I can also vouch for it. My colleagues who are teaching here, I host webinars with them, and often after the webinar, there are lineage of emails from not just parents but academicians who who just email us and tell us that this session, that point was something which I learned. That session was exceptional. This line by your faculty was good. And all those are basically knowledge sessions which we take, and in those we discuss about the things which are moving on right now at the societal level. And that really fills us with a kind of a confidence, and that is something which we have been able to take it to the society and say, this is what BITS law is all about. And that is when I know that the kind of selection process which we have at place is something which is getting the best people here for the students who we are selecting like that.
Can I add to that, Deepu?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
thinking when you said
Hmm.
the sessions that you did. Let me give you some examples of what kind of teaching, specific examples that faculty members at BITS Law School did in the first semester, August till December last year. It's a very standard first semester course called Law of Torts. Standard negligence, duty of care, harm, all of that. Donahue versus Stevenson.
Mm.
Other than the traditional tried and tested standard curriculum and coursework syllabus for Law of Torts, what is really exciting uh, when I look at that course manual is the contemporary issues that have come out. For example, climate change litigation
Mm.
as part of a tort law course. The intersection of law and torts. For example, we are talking about driverless cars, we are
Mm.
talking about drones, we are
Drones.
talking about generative AI. What happens when there is a harm?
Mhm,
Where does the
mhm,
liability
mhm,
rest?
mhm,
Similarly, in the same course, there's a very senior scholar, Upendra Bakshi,
mhm,
one of the most distinguished scholars of law in India. He was a guest speaker in the
mhm,
very first semester as part of tort law
mhm,
course.
mhm,
And the approach they took was to initiate the students into mooting.
mhm,
Mooting is integral to law
mhm,
school.
mhm, mhm,
And I'm not sure how many law schools uh, immerse students in the first semester in mooting. And it's so important because you kind of challenge yourself to debate, to argue, to stand up and speak in front of your peers, to
mhm,
argue, to structure your arguments.
mhm, mhm.
That is a remarkable experience that I think all students shared.
Yeah.
Give another example. In the English courses that we have put together, and all of these examples will give you some kind of clarity on how creative, how innovative, and how involved the faculty members are.
Mhm,
The English courses have been remarkable.
mhm,
Now, a lot of institutions have a slightly traditional approach to
mhm,
teaching English in law schools in
mhm,
India.
mhm.
But the first English course, which was offered in the last semester, is literature and self-expression.
Yeah.
It leveraged the power of literature and storytelling, and the learning outcome was that you should be able to express what you feel and what you think after you read
This is
something.
very important for
And you
life.
share it with others, and at the same time, you listen from others how they felt.
Mm, mm,
Right? Now, and it comes out beautifully in a tutorial session. This is a pedagogical innovation that the faculty members made. Principles of management.
mm.
Interestingly, there was a lecture in principles of management which was attended by Mr. Birla himself when he visited campus.
Yes, yes.
Uh, Now, I don't know how many law schools do it. I think it's a great idea to use Harvard business cases
Mm,
at undergraduate
and,
level to explain certain case studies
mm,
from within principles of management
mm,
course.
mm, mm,
Phenomenally designed. Then there is a finance course, we call it financial statement analysis for lawyers, first
mm,
semester,
mhm,
where you get comfortable with the idea of certain ratios.
mm,
How do you, when you look at a balance sheet, you
mm,
should not just zone out
mm.
as a first year student. Doesn't matter what your stream in school
Yeah, yeah.
was. You should be able to make some sense of
Sense
it.
out of it.
And of
Yeah.
course, you build on it with
Yes.
advanced courses and electives. And there's so many more examples. I think the single biggest strength of
Mm.
BITS Law School are our faculty.
Yeah. So I'll take some questions from now, our attendees, Mr. Amit Mishra. Uh, He's from Bangalore and he's asked a question quoting our Vice Chancellor, where he says, to quote Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao, on the intersection of law and tech at the opening of BITS Law, he said this, I remember, multiple pathways will combine the best that BITS engineering offers with the best that the law school will offer. And you will hear more about soon. So he wants to know, and he's like very eager to know more about this.
What's the name of the person who's
Amit
asking?
R. Mishra from Bangalore.
Mr. Amit R. Mishra, we should have a conversation. I would really like to get your thoughts on this. You're right. We did have a preliminary conversation between me and the Vice Chancellor about the idea of a tech LLB degree. There are certain logistical issues with it. We are working on it. But uh, I think a big part of engineering or tech education at an undergrad master's level is proficiency and the level of academic comfort with quantitative techniques, with calculus, with data analytics. And I think that requires a more structural change in how we train our students in middle school and high school, because not a lot of them are very excited about seeing a lot of math and seeing a lot of Greek numbers in law school. So we have to see what kind of students. But what I agree with, when the vice chancellor shared it at the launch of its law school, is that it's a futuristic idea. It's the need of the future, and the only way we can help the industry, the government, the civil society understand the both the applications, the ramifications of new technologies is by merging law, policy, regulation with tech. It's really it's the most promising interdisciplinary idea that I've come across, and we'll work on it.
Okay, now the other question is from Dia from Delhi and Aditya from Hyderabad. Both of them are asking the same question, which in a way we have answered, but yet what they are doing is they're trying to compare us with the top NLUs and other law schools, the private institutions, and they want to know that what are we doing exceptional or different from the others. Where Aditya says that he knows that BITS Pilani is a prestigious it's a prestigious engineering school. So has IIT Kharagpur also started with law courses. Now he wants to know what is BITS Law planning to do different to attain success in the field of law. We have given answer, and Dia from Delhi is also trying to compare us with the top NLUs and asking us that how are we different from
Yeah,
others.
well, that's a good question. It's one that will kind of stay in your mind for some time. Um, so, of course, BITS Pilani has been around for 6 decades now, but it was 3 years ago when the leadership of BITS Pilani, the Board of Governors, thought that we should kind of venture into social sciences, because that's an area that we have not focused as BITS Pilani as much as computer science, biotechnology, engineering, and so on. And that was the starting point of establishing a dedicated, very high quality management school, BITSOM. So there is a precedence of building on the legacy of BITS Pilani, but not really doing hardcore STEM, but doing something within the social sciences. And then law school came after that. How we intend to make this entire endeavor and pursuit special and unique is to draw inspiration from how BITS Pilani has been consistent in producing creative thinkers. Even if they are chemistry students, engineering students, they are trained to think independently, creatively, and that's how so many high valued and successful startups are spawned out of the BITS Pilani ecosystem. That's really remarkable. And that's one thing that we wish to imbibe, even as a law school. Uh, the second is what makes us special. I'll repeat what I said a few minutes ago. We place the learner at the center rather than focusing on everything else, which might seem important in other institutions. And if you place the student, the learner at the center, then most of the effort institutionally and of the people in the institution has to be to improve and enhance the quality of learning. I think this is what it's a slightly generalized way, but it's the only way to make sure that you are teaching the right kind of knowledge, the right kind of updated material which is required to excel in this profession. It's dynamic in nature. If there is a new legislation, you have to kind of start from scratch. If there's a new decision, which is kind of landmark in nature in a particular area, then you need to be familiar with it fairly quickly. Um, and I think what we are trying to do through all those pointers that I shared earlier in one of your questions, Deepu, is we are not just trying to produce good lawyers. We are trying to train already outstanding students because they come with certain ideas and this desire and this zest to do something. But we are trying to produce creative, empathetic, skillful lawyers. The first three adjectives require a lot of work. And that entire effort takes us back to this entire learning model that we have. So I invite you to take a look at the details of how the curriculum works and what is this learning model. There are some details on the website. There are some insights that you can find in the different webinars that Deepu has done in the last few months.
The next question is by an anonymous sender, and they're asking about, can you shed some light on various specializations that are available to BITS Law School students and the ones which will be introduced in coming years?
Sure.
They have gone through the brochure, so they have an idea about what we are going to.
Sure.
They're asking about the coming years.
Okay.
How are we going to?
It's a great question. I'll take a step back. See, specializations in law school effectively means a choice that students will have to select elective courses based on their own interests. Yeah. In the 5 years of our law school, the first 2 years are dedicated to core compulsory foundational courses, both in law, in arts, in social sciences, and all these other allied areas. After the second year, the option of taking up a diverse set of electives or advanced courses, choice-based, that window opens up. Now, how do you decide which elective to take? One is purely out of curiosity. That's the one I would recommend. That bases what we have studied in the classroom in the last 3, 4, 5 semesters. Now, let me take this elective which is being floated because I want to further enhance my knowledge in a certain stream. That's one. Second is that you've already identified one of the 4 areas of specialization which we have listed on the website, and you're firm that this is an area that I really wish to specialize in, and you have about 2.5 years to do that. And I'm going to pick all courses that are offered within that domain, right? That could be a viable approach if you are determined and you have spoken with experts, with faculty, with people you might know at home about that particular domain. So these are the mechanics of how do you pick a specialization and how you work towards it. Now, what are these specializations? The first one is corporate and financial law, which is a no-brainer because we are in the heart of financial and banking capital, and they are always in need of talented and updated lawyers, right? And with technology seeping into financial transactions, financial services, insurance, banking, fintech, the role of a lawyer in structuring the transaction and understanding the ethics of it, the compliance of it, the legality of it becomes even more important. Right, so that's the first one. The second is media and entertainment law. This is also bases the advice that we receive from our advisory council members, because they have a very interesting bird's eye view of how the judiciary is looking at issues and where they might be struggling because of their own core competencies, how the law practice industry, how the law firms are looking at upcoming areas, and how academics are looking at certain areas where the supply of talent is less than the demand for that talent in the near future. So basis this advice, we have started to offer the second specialization around sports and entertainment. And we have a distinct advantage because Mumbai is the motion picture capital, entertainment, a lot of issues around branding, reputation, celebrity rights, intellectual property rights, and so on become important. Because there is a sports law specialization option, this is why some of the internationalization efforts that we are undertaking with our
Mhm.
partners in Australia
Mhm.
and in Europe are to further strengthen that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the form of a more international approach to these topics.
Mm.
The third is tech and media law.
Mm.
They're very closely related, and it encompasses a whole range of subdomains and areas within tech law. And the fourth one is alternate dispute resolution and mediation.
Yeah.
We have an expert, a very senior mediator in the advisory council, Mr. Sriram Panchu, and he is going to be working with us in strengthening this fourth pillar of specialization. In fact, we are putting together a workshop program which will bring together practitioners who are working in the area of mediation, arbitration, reconciliation, and that will help us curate certain courses which students can benefit from.
Now, I'll club some questions because of paucity of time and also because, there are so many questions on the same lines which is being asked. One of which is about our new campus at Kalyan. So, again, an anonymous attendee is asking me that how do they manage internship programs as they're far away from the location of the college? Uh, you know, the college, campus, residence, everything is going to be at Kalyan. And internships have nothing to do with it because internships take place in some other cities. So students learn and then they go for internships.
No, but
So,
let's,
yeah.
it's a very important question because a
Mhm.
lot of the participants and other applicants might be curious about how we approach internships.
Mhm.
Three, 4 points very quickly. First is we have a dedicated office, yeah, which means that there is going to be a lot of support in ensuring that students have opportunities to tap for internships in every semester break. It's a 5-year program, there are 9 semester breaks, and we expect you to be meaningfully occupied in all those breaks. Um, what is the name of this office? The very carefully crafted name. It's called Industry Interface and Career Advancement. One is a one is an input, the other one is an output. With industry interface, there is a lot of time and effort which is spent on training students, sensitizing students in what is required in these roles in internships and after they graduate when they get placed in the industry. And then the entire effort of creating opportunities, not only in law firms, but in NGOs, in the judiciary, in the court systems, in research organizations with advocates. There is a lot. Our students who have all 120 students have interned and they've worked in 9 different industry categories. Now, when you do these internships, you are expected to go out of campus. Sometimes this can happen within Mumbai, sometimes this can happen within Maharashtra, sometimes this can happen close to in your hometown or your home city, and sometimes to a third city, which is neither Mumbai or Kalyan nor your hometown. Our IICA office is going to facilitate all of this. They start the process much in advance so that most of your preferences and needs are taken care of.
And our new campus is also ready.
Yeah,
Yeah. So our new batch of students are going to go into the new campus.
yeah. That's I think a lot of you might have seen the YouTube video, which is an architectural rendering of how the new campus is going to look like. I can tell you that how it has come up is absolutely remarkable, and it looks much better than that architectural rendition that you would have seen on YouTube. Uh, the way it is, I read somewhere that a university is nothing but a cluster of buildings around a library because it's a place where knowledge is generated and shared and transmitted. Uh, that's really the layout and the design. We have a phenomenal campus with a center of excellence building in the middle, which houses a huge library with all kinds of resources that you can think of. There is an academic block one, and it is in that block that our business school with SOM is going to be moving very soon, I think in the next couple of weeks. And the law school is going to be moving there within this year. We, of course, for logistical reasons, we wish to move not during an active semester, but between two semesters. So the ideal time that we are looking at is the month of June and July 2024. This basically means that you are going to be coming directly to our main permanent campus, and not to the interim campus. And you are just going to enjoy the different activities and the different opportunities you will have to collaborate and to do so much with your time. And you already know that the architect is quite noted and renowned architect in India, Hafiz Contractor, and his team has built the Hiranandani Township also. So if you've seen the interim campus, if you've seen this part of Mumbai, then you can very well imagine the quality of the plans and the construction and the layout. We have brought in an extremely credible and highly rated catering service and a vendor for that. And we'll share details in due course. There is the entire building where we are going to be operating from July and August this year is going to be complete by March or April. So there's absolutely no work which is going to be done in neither that central building, it's the COE, nor in the academic block. There's an entirely new building, which is going to be the law school building, that's going to come up by the end of this calendar year.
Yeah, so a lot of questions about scholarship are being asked, and I'll take that question now because some students are asking about the process. The process is nothing, it's our admission process. You have to excel, and all the different kind of scholarships are also explained to you. They are there on the brochure. You can even consult my team at the backdrop and ask that, what are the questions. We are always a call away. You can ask us about the scholarship. But there is one question which is very interesting, which is asked by a student who's anonymous. Can you please enlighten about the various endowment scholarship, and as a dean, what is your expectations from prospective students who wish to avail them? So,
excellent. Well, that's a great question. So the 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 reason why an endowment fund-based scholarship system was created for BITS Law is in line with the commitment that BITS Pilani and the chancellor and the family of Mr. Birla has towards education in general. Um, and on the basis of that, we have three categories of special endowment scholarships for legal studies. The first one is GD Birla Scholarship, which is the most generous one, and it's up to 100% of tuition fee waiver that you get if you're awarded that scholarship. It is based on your overall score across the five categories or five steps that we have in the admissions process, your application form and a lot of information in it, then your performance in school, high school, then your performance in any one of the entrance tests that we recognize as part of BITS Law admission. Fourth, your performance in the interview, which has two very distinct parts. One, as I said earlier, is slightly more specific to your critical thinking skills, that we call it the one-word essay. The other one is more about comprehension, reading, and how you really make sense and find meaning in a certain text. And your general interaction that you have with a faculty member, which can go on for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes even more. So all of this put together is you get a score. That score, we have to kind of put it on a rank list, and then we order it. And then the one who's right on top of the rank list is awarded or offered the most prestigious endowment scholarship, the GD Birla Scholarship. The second one, second scholarship is for those students who do extremely well in one of the centralized, standardized law entrance exams. The scores, and you can see which ones we accept on the website. But the highest score that an applicant has in a recognized entrance test is offered the second category of scholarship, the KK Birla Endowment Scholarship for Legal Studies. The third one, which is up to 75%. The third one is, as I mentioned earlier, Sarla Birla Scholarship for Legal Studies. It is the third category of endowment scholarships, which are reserved exclusively for female applicants based on their all-round performance on the 5 steps of the admissions process. That's up to 75% tuition fee waiver. These are the special scholarships, and of course, there are two, three other categories of scholarships. One is pure merit, academic merit based on how you've done academically. The second is merit and means scholarship, where we wish to see whether you require financial assistance over and above the merit that you might have established in your application. And the third, as I mentioned earlier, are special diversity scholarships. All of them range from 10%, 15%, all the way to 100% in the endowment scholarships. They are extremely competitive. I can only base it on data of the last cycle, which Deepu would know better. We started a bit late last year. Towards the end of March, we practically had 4 months to complete our admissions. More than 4,000 applications were initiated. Hundreds of interviews were done. And it was a very difficult decision because at the end you have many students whose scores are very close to each other, and it's a decision we have to take basis the limited scholarship awards we have. That brings me to my last point in this answer. How do you prepare for them?
What are your expectations as a dean
From the students? Well, we call them values. What are the values that applicants imbibe and they bring to BITS Law School? Because it's going to be a school that you will shape basis your own aspirations, basis your own energy. And we have defined certain values that we expect anyone who's part of this institution, be it a student, an incoming student, a current student, a faculty, a staff, anyone. And these values are what we will expect from you also. Integrity. How seriously are you taking the process of applying? We are also very interested in being honest. We are also very interested in whether you have the interest and the capability to challenge the status quo. What do I mean by that? If there is a certain answer or view you have to a certain situation or question, then do you think it's the absolute truth, the only truth, and nothing but the truth? Or there is a scope to have a slightly different interpretation? Are you open to receiving a certain different view on what you think will invite only one view of a certain kind? So that's openness in thinking and critical thinking, which we are equally interested in. And this is what we will gauge in almost hour-long interaction, which you will have with our faculty.
One more thing I want to add here is we have merit cum mean scholarship. That's the only place where we are looking into your parental income. And for all other scholarships, we are not looking into your parental income, because if you are a scholar, we need you. That's exactly what our scholarships are for. Irrespective of whatever socioeconomic background you are, we want you here. And that's what the entire process talks about. This place is for scholars, and we want to create such kind of legal, stalwarts and a student who will be an asset to the legal industry. Okay. So the next question is quite interesting, Ashish, and you'll love answering this. Neil Sareen from Bangalore is asking you, in our earlier stages, it is hard to be clear as to what streams we want to specialize in. Can you please explain how students are encouraged to delve deeper and explore to the world of vast ideas in order to get some clarity for life beyond education?
Wow, that's a good question, Neil. Sorry, read it again. I want to not give a tangential
So he says, in our earlier stages, it is hard to be clear as to what streams we want to specialize in. Can you please help explain how students are encouraged to dwell deeper and explore to the world of vast ideas in order to get some clarity for life beyond education?
Got it. Well, let me dissect that question in two parts. The first one is that you feel you may not be ready or equipped to make a choice about one of the areas of specialization. That's absolutely fine. This is exactly why the advanced courses or electives that stem from one of these areas of specialization, they are opened only in the third year, right? So the expectation of our law school, of your faculty, and of this learning model that we have is that you will only focus on the foundational courses and you will go through them diligently. And in that process, the first 2 years, you may find certain areas that excite and interest you more, right? Just like in school, when you were trying to pick which sports or which games you like more or less, you try different ones, and then you end up having a strong preference or liking for some of them rather than all of them, right? So it's a similar process. Um, how will you? The second part of your question, frankly, I don't think you are going to have a choice in what you wish to read and what you can't read, because as I said, it's a demanding, it's a rigorous curriculum. We have very carefully curated the readings in each module, in each course, in each semester. There are uh, course level learning outcomes. When I say course, I mean individual subjects that you study in a semester, right? So there are these course specific learning outcomes at the end of a semester that map with the overall program level learning outcomes over the course of 5 years. And this is thought through. When you are doing your tutorials, you're discussing what you're learning. So this entire process, we have factored in this entire learning flow, which starts from thinking, reading, listening to a lecture, talking with someone, reflecting on it, analyzing, processing, articulating, verbalizing it, writing it down, critiquing it, debating, and finally getting convinced about something or not. This is the process of forming an opinion. When we push you through this entire exciting intellectual tunnel of thinking and ideation and reflection, then the outcome is going to be that you'll be more ready for the courses that are going to come up. You'll be more ready and more equipped to deconstruct the world that is around you, not just in terms of law, but also in terms of other issues of human interaction, your interaction with society, with community, with your peers. All of that will gradually unfold. So you'll be fine after some time.
Great question, Neil, and we really appreciate you asking us that. Uh, Dia Kansal from Gurgaon, she wants to ask you, what do you value most in a student, and what values do you work to foster most in a student? What are the most important skills for a law student according to you?
Okay, that's a great question. Let's unpack. Again, the first part is about values, and the second part is more about skills that a lawyer of the future would need, in my opinion. So for the first part, I've kind of responded to it. The values that we hold dear to us at BITS Law School. I think it's very important to uh, have clarity on what you're doing and why do you want to do it. Uh, and that's not easy, but if you're finding it challenging to figure out where you should really pay attention to and which parts of your entire development and growth and as a person you should be focusing on, then the ability to very honestly interact and engage with those who might have answers to these questions is a very important attribute and a value that you need to imbibe. The values that underlie this are being honest, being aware of what you are wanting inputs and support on, uh, and it's and the ability to make yourself vulnerable whenever you're asking a question, be it to your parents, be it to your classroom instructors, to your coach, anyone. When you're asking a question, you clearly don't have an answer to that question, which is why you're asking someone else. In this process, you are making yourself vulnerable. It's not easy. It naturally doesn't come to us. We have to be trained to ask. So that's something I wish students kind of have, and I'm sure you have that. A sense of gratitude is equally important. The fact that you're currently in this conversation, you are looking at, I'm sure, multiple universities and very high quality law schools, including BITS Law School. is because someone has worked hard to help you reach at this stage. And I think, and it's not just for students, it's for all of us. We need to just take a pause at times of happiness and joy and success and reflect on who made this possible.
True.
And we don't stop that at that point. We actually go to them and we say, thank you. I'm glad you did this. And I've gratitude towards you. I think that's another value which comes in really handy. It makes you more modest as a lawyer, as an individual, as someone who's wanting to build a better society.
Awesome. Great answer. Now we have a question from Saikat Das Sharma from Tripura, Agartala. And he's asking which law school's curriculum is exemplary in its interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. Going forward, how the Honorable Dean Professor Bhardwaj and the esteemed faculty members plan to integrate diverse perspectives from different disciplines to create a comprehensive research focused inclusive curriculum.
Right. So again, two parts. It's a great question. I've alluded to this in my previous responses, but see, there is you use two words which are very interesting: interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Right? Interdisciplinary is when you kind of blend two together and you create a new genre or a new subdiscipline of its own. Uh, Multidisciplinary is the ability and the presence of multiple disciplines within one larger domain, right? And law school curriculum, because it is prescribed broadly by the Bar Council of India, the regulatory body for law schools, we broadly know that, that it has to be a law school curriculum, has to be multidisciplinary. What we try to do here, and I'll give an example of a semester one course, we take a step forward, and that step is called transdisciplinary, where you apply the learnings of one discipline to the challenges and problems and texts of another discipline, right? And the course and that entire learning is built around this transdisciplinarity. Let me give you an example. One of the courses that we offered in the first semester to both our BA LLB students and BB LLB students is a very rigorous, very creative, very immersive experimental course called Foundations of Social Sciences and Humanities. Just this word, the label of the course is heavy. It needs to be unpacked. Why is it called Foundations of Social Sciences and Humanities? Because it brings together the domains and learnings and classical texts from political science, from history, from sociology. Now, what's interesting is, and they're divided in different modules, and sometimes they're also mixed up. The learnings from this particular course help students, and it did help the students who have completed the first semester, uh, get a better understanding of the issues they faced and the content they read in the English course, literature and self-expression, and the law courses, taught law and legal methods. And this is going to become even bigger and more important when we move to the next semesters. The integration between sociology and law, gender and society, political ideologies and how the legal system works, constitutionalism, and what we think about the ideas of liberty and justice and peace. All of this is going to happen much more in the next few semesters. So so that's a response broadly to the first part of your question. And how do you, what was the last sentence, Deepu?
The last sentence was how to create a comprehensive research focus
Research
inclusive.
focus is something different because, see, there is a certain process and a method to do academic research. I'm sure some of you are already aware of how it is supposed to be done. But research methodology is a course and an area in itself, right? So what we will do throughout the first year of law school is to teach you different parts of that research methodology, which we expect students to use. So there is a certain way in which you read a text and how you focus on selective parts, especially when you're reading a legal text. And it's called a close reading of a text. It could be poetry, it could be a judgment. Which parts you pay more attention to is a skill. And we will teach you that. then how do you summarize a certain voluminous text into a more compressed, condensed two-pager, five-pager, or whatever? There's a certain technique to it, which is taught in the first semester legal method course also. How do you differentiate between facts and what's the analysis of a certain situation and a background and your own conclusion and justification of it? And then there are these techniques, whether you use a qualitative technique to a certain problem, whether you take a quantitative technique, whether you take a mixed method, whether do you require an ethnographic approach. All of this is going to be taught, and at the end of that entire process, when you put these building blocks together, what emerges is the tools and the apparatus you need to conduct meaningful and primary research.
Great. So the last question I'll take is from Sanika from Pune. She's asking, are there any particular skills that applicants must learn or engage in order to perform better in law school before they join the law school?
Yes, your ability to read anything. Actually, it could be anything. It could be a newspaper. It could be a poem. It could be a fictional story. It could be your textbook. It could be an article. But the ability and the curiosity to read whatever you like from start to finish and to spend some time to reflect on it. Now, you don't have to do it in one go. If you want to dissect it in 2, 3 different sittings, you can do that. But this is a non-negotiable skill which is required in law school because there is a lot of reading. And we also do what is popularly called as a Socratic method of teaching, and you should look it up because if you come here, you're going to be exposed to it anyway. If you do not do these prescribed readings before coming to class, then your ability to extract out of it and to be connected in the classroom discussions is going to be severely compromised. The only way to make use of those lecture hours, discussions, is to read, reflect if you have the time, and then come to class. So that's one skill that I would encourage all of you to try to imbibe. The other one is, I know a lot of you are excited about Chat GPT and you're encouraged to play with any and all new technologies. And it's a very new technology. It's going to shape up. It has certain flaws right now, certain challenges that the developers are kind of facing, but eventually it will get fine-tuned, just like any other technology we use now. In this process of learning in a law school, at least initially, when you're expected to read a lot, summarize, write, sometimes there is a time constraint, sometimes you have more time, try to do it without really leaning on any tech tool. Especially a tech tool that is going to help you summarize within few seconds, because ChatGPT or any other generative AI tool has that capability. It is going to hamper the learning for sure. There is no doubt about it. And we have a certain policy. I think we were one of the first law schools in India to publish our own policy guidelines for the use of generative AI tools for students. We have not banned it. We want students to play with it, but we want you to use it in the right instances. For example, if you're looking for a reading list to study, you don't know where to start. You have to learn a little bit about basic structure of the Constitution, right? And you don't know at this stage what to read. ChatGPT can help you probably, although some of the responses are sometimes questionable, but that's one good way of using it. If you're looking for improving the vocabulary and grammar of something that you've already written, a paragraph, right? Use ChatGPT and see which words this technology has enhanced, and that will help you craft your next writing project better. So we'll kind of expose you to all of this, but this is my second advice. As a law student, we still kind of go back to the first principles of what it takes to learn law better as a law student. And so I would advise you to stick to that for now.
So here we come to an end to an interesting session and an eye-opening session for almost everyone in the audience, as well as to me also, because each time we have the session, I learn a lot from Ashish. I have to admit this. And thanks to all of you for investing your time with us. Thanks to our dynamic marketing team, which has been able to reach each one of you and tell you that okay, this is happening, and please do attend. And the interest shown by you to attend the same. Thanks to my team at the back end who have been answering all your questions relating to admissions, because we're very clear we're not going to answer any questions relating to admissions at this forum, because we have a specific team for it, which will obviously help you out through call, through mail. You can reach us and we will be answering those questions to you, right? So this was properly a session where you could ask the dean himself about how things are working at BITS Law School and what are the new changes which we are bringing forth. Moving on further, we will be in touch with you. There are other such kind of such webinars and such seminars, etc. We'll also be doing some open houses also, which where we'll be coming and we'll be coming to your city. Ashish is also going to come and travel with us to some of those cities and interact with you. Bangalore, Kolkata, Delhi. We'll be, if you stay in touch with us and if you go through our Instagram page, you'll get to see when and where that is happening. Not for the next few months, because we know you all are busy with your exams, and all the best for your exams. And post that, we'll be coming to your city and you can meet us in person and also get all your questions answered at the same time. Any final words, Ashish?
No, thank you. I had a terrific time. They were all very thought through questions. If you didn't manage to get your question answered, please write to them again. They are
Yes,
very, very prompt. If you happen to be in Mumbai, come visit us. Even
please.
though this is an interim campus, it will give you a sense of what is the vibe of the place. You might be able to meet faculty, students after a week. So come over. You'll have to set up an appointment for your visit. And take it easy. All the best for your exams. Don't think about law school or any other school until your exams are over.
Yes.
And we'll see you on campus.
Yeah. Thank you.